The Pacific Island nations are bonded and connected by the Great Pacific Ocean. While each Pacific Island state has its own culture, there are commonalities among them, including the importance of tapa and finally woven mats, which can be found among many diasporic Pacific Island nations. That's according to Conservation International, an NGO working with communities and governments across the Pacific Islands region to conserve their unique and vital nature. The inaugural Pacific ICT Ministers Dialogue 2023 held in Port Moresby has brought together ICT ministers and officials from across Pacific Island nations to consider and discuss significant regional ICT matters, but also had a chance to share and experience cultures and traditions of Niu Ireland Province in Papua New Guinea. An entourage led by the host ICT Minister Timothy Masiu and the Pacific ICT ministers, officials and delegates arrived in Kavieng on a chartered flight after the Pacific ICT Ministerial Dialogue and the signing of the Lagatoi Declaration in Port Moresby. Welcomed by the chiefs and the senior executives of the Niu Ireland Provincial Government, the delegations had a welcome dinner at Nusa Island Retreat and also toured down the Bulummiski Highway to the Shark Calling Festival at Lasigi village in Central Niu Ireland before visiting the famous Laraibina Eel Farm at Laraibina village. The custom of shark calling has been practiced in the villages of Masiu, Kono and Kontu on the west coast of Niu Ireland for generations. During this 3-day festival, they celebrate these traditions. The Pacific ICT delegates also had the opportunity to witness the Shark Festival. ICT Minister Timothy Masiu, while expressing his gratitude towards the Niu Ireland people for the wonderful gestures shown, echoed the importance of connecting with people through ICT services.
That my dream is to bring them to a local setting, to somewhere where they can see the people and mix around with the people. Because we are all about the people. If there's no people, you and I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. And so we must not lose touch of that important connection. We talk about connectivity. We talk about accessibility. We talk about affordability. But let's not just talk about it in the air, but let us also touch the lives of the very people who will be using that service that we are talking about and we are to provide, because they are the reason why all of us are here. We wouldn't be here if the people were not here. And so that is the meaning of all this. The one voice, the one Pacific, it must continue to grow from where we have started from. And I am very, very happy that this important occasion is happening. Like I said, I did not have any clue at all that this will happen.
Mr. Masiu spoke about the importance of connecting with nature and also protecting its ecosystems. He said the same principles of ICT about connecting people must also be applied to the natural environment.
Why I chose this place, chose this important location for our part of our social event, is for us to see how we can live with nature. The ecosystem that we talk about in ICT can also be applied to the nature. It's all about ecosystem as well. And it is so pleasing to hear that they live with nature. And nature is God, and we are made by God. And so we cannot leave God out of what we are doing. And so it is important that as we progress into our ICT, Pacific ICT Ministers Dialogue and our movement into the future, we must always have at the back of our mind that nature is also part of our life. In the Pacific, we have natural disasters, phenomena happening. We have natural calamities happening. And that is why we need to be aware. We must not only look at the technology and moving forward, but also be mindful that we also belong to our nature. We are also people that must protect our nature because that's our livelihood. We are connected to nature.
As per the Conservation International, Pacific also makes up half of the Earth's ocean, is home to more marine species than any other ocean basin on the planet, and provides 70% of the global fish catch. Pacific Islanders are the guardians of this ocean, which is central to their way of life as it underpins their culture, food, livelihoods, and national economies. Mr. Masiu used the occasion to advocate on the significance of protecting the ocean and called on the Pacific Islands Forum to ensure Pacific Islands' voices are heard at the international stages.
I'm happy that my friend from PIF is here. In the PIF, let's also look at the issue of nature. Let us make a strong voice that people like the Japanese government don't put rubbish in our ocean. They must not dump the rubbish into our ocean. This is our livelihood. You just heard the eels. They go and they breathe out in the ocean. And I'm one of the leaders. I'm very saddened to hear that after deliberations, we accepted the fact that they said it is treated. But how much do we know about it? Our people must be not voiceless in the Pacific. We must look after our nature. We must make sure that our people are protected at all costs, no matter what. Also, if we are talking about the kind of deployment of technology these days, there are some technology which are dangerous, radiation and all this. They harm us, and that effect takes place. So let's be mindful. Let's be smart. We are talking about the smart Pacific. One voice, and this is where we have to echo our sentiments in our forum.
The Laraibina Eels attraction site in Kavieng is known for its giant freshwater eels being tamed in their own natural habitat. It has attracted nearly 500,000 visitors since its establishment in 1990. The Pacific ICT delegates also had the opportunity to visit the Laraibina Eel site. A local villager from the village shared the story and beliefs with the Pacific ICT delegates of how they are connected with the eels and Mother Nature, and said eels are a sacred marine animal for the Laraibina villages.
I used to say there's a lot of mystery that still surrounds them. You cannot tell which is male or female. But our ancestors used to believe that one is to change its genes to become female to continue the cycle. That was way hundreds of years ago, up until now. Recently, we found out that I think the eels, you know where they breed? They are spawned. These are freshwater eels, and they go out to the Pacific Ocean. And it is an honor to have you all today to tell you that all your eels from your countries, our country, our provinces, our villages, from lakes, estuaries, rivers, we all go to one spot to spawn. And then the mothers or the bigger ones, the female, they die. And the baby ones, they find their way back to its original, you know, like from Samoa, we go back to Samoa. From Fiji, we go back to Fiji. Papua New Guineans will come into Papua New Guinea. From the Papua New Guinea, from the islands, they will have to go up to the islands. That is how they use it. And not only that these are like sacred to us only because they are special in our beliefs. We recently found out in the past few years that these are special indicators to us. You know, like we connect with the nature, you know.
Meanwhile, the meeting of Pacific ICT Ministers in Papua New Guinea drew to a close with a farewell dinner in Port Moresby yesterday evening after the site visit to Kavieng. Minister for Communication and Aviation Solomon Islands, Pad Chanel Agovaka, represented the Pacific ICT ministers and officials in thanking the PNG government as host of this year's Pacific ICT Ministers Summit.
It gives me great pleasure to stand here and represent you all in thanking our wonderful host, the Minister for Communication of Papua New Guinea. Since our arrival, we have been tremendously looked after. from the airport. The protocols has been extremely well. And then the dinner and also Prime Minister's speech was very encouraging indeed.